Good evening, fellow YouTubers. This is my second attempt at recording this because my first attempt found out the audio wasn't tuned to my webcam. So hopefully the audio works this time. I'll review a growler of House Ale by Publican House Brewery. This is a Kolsch style ale spelled Kolsch, and the O has two dots above it, and it was originally brewed in Cologne, Germany. However, many American brew pubs and breweries have taken it amongst themselves to recreate this style. So, let's open it up and give it a try. I am pouring this into my Samuel Smith pint glass because, unfortunately, when I moved to my new apartment, a bunch of my beer glasses broke. I don't know if I told you the story or not, but it's a sad, depressing, and overall uninteresting story. So let's give House Ale a try. A little disappointing with the head. I've discovered that no matter how aggressive I pour this beer, all you get is a thin film. But, you know, head doesn't matter when it comes to beer, or at least it doesn't matter that much. What does matter is flavor and scent. Kind of a clear golden yellow color, which you can't really see on the webcam. It appears a lot more darker on the webcam, but you know, it's a cheap webcam. What do you expect? Smell. Very, very biscuity, very malty up front. There's some floral hops to it, a little bit of honey. You'll have to excuse me, my screensaver pops up after a minute of non-computer usage, and this apparently counts as non-computer usage, so I have to keep moving my mouse or pressing my keyboard to get my screensaver to go away. Slight grassiness, very biscuity. And there's kind of a white grape smell to it, which is common in the Kolsches that I have. They do have a very grapey smell and flavor to them. So let's give it a try. Very refreshing, and you can see, despite the amount of head, there's some lacing stuck to the glass. Up front, lots of sweetness, honey, biscuits, crackers, big malt flavors, which, if I haven't mentioned, this beer is at 4.8%, but it doesn't taste like a light beer. It has a lot of depth and a lot of flavor. There's some floral, not quite perfumey taste to it, and kind of a wine-like white grape flavor, which I'm not entirely sure I like. It's not unpleasant, but if I want to drink wine, or if I want to drink white wine, I'll have myself a white wine. I want to drink a beer. However, that grapey flavor and scent is common among Kolsch's. Family rating for this beer, I'd say 7 out of 10. It will make a great session ale. In fact, it's New Year's Eve, so I plan on drinking 1.9 liters of this beer because, well, it's that good. And I will also be drinking it with 40 Creek Copper Pot Reserve Rye Whiskey. One of the best rye whiskeys I've ever had, and I love myself a good rye whiskey. Unfortunately, the liquor store I went to, I could not find the bourbon, and I wanted to try Jim Beam Devil's Cut Bourbon because I've been advertising it on the YouTube channel that I'm subscribed to. And it's just kind of like, what liquor store doesn't carry bourbon? I couldn't even find Jack Daniels. What kind of liquor store isn't tried Jack Daniels? But anyways, I went online and found out they carried it at other stores, but, you know, I got myself rye whiskey instead. Copper Pot Reserve, which is a little bit smoother and has a more chocolatey flavor to it than the regular 40 Creek whiskey. So yeah, if you're a whiskey drinker like me and you love yourself rye whiskey, which, let's be honest, rye whiskey you either love it or hate it. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground. I love this stuff. You owe it to yourself to try Copper Pot Reserve 40 Creek whiskey. But we're not reviewing that. We're reviewing House Ale by Publican House Brewery. If you're in Peterborough, Ontario, it's on Charlotte Street, quite literally off of George. I believe the address is 300 Charlotte, and they brew a decent ale. What can I say? If you are in Peterborough, there's 3 places you need to check out. Technically 2, because 2 of the places are side by side each other, and they share the same kitchen. The 2 places I'm talking about is Old Stone Brewery and Hot Belly Mama's. Hot Belly Mama's is a Cajun restaurant. Old Stone Brewery is a restaurant where I usually go for dessert after Hot Belly Mama's because their peanut butter pie is so rich and so decadent it puts me into a diabetic coma. And yes, I am diabetic, so I am allowed to say that joke. And they also brew their beer on premise, and of course, Publican House Brewery, both located downtown. Hot Belly Mama's and Old Stone is on Water Street, but I don't know the address, and Publican House Brewery is just off George on Charlotte Street. Pretty much find yourself Charlotte Street and head west. It's on the north side of the street. I know because I applied for a job there, but unfortunately they weren't hiring. I'd love to work at a brewery. That'd be like my dream job. But anyways, yeah. Try yourself a house ale and pick up a couple of other ales and lagers they have there. They have a Crapel, a Vienna lager, an Irish dry stout. They have a little over a half dozen other beers, which I will be picking up the next time I'm in Peterborough. Damn, that's refreshing. And even though it's the middle of winter and freezing outside, I am hot. So believe me, this refreshing beer is just what I needed. Final rating, let's say 7.5. It's a great session ale. It's got some depth and flavor, but it's not a wow beer. Anyway, stay tuned for my next recording. I finally found a 32 gigabyte SD card that works on my 3DS. Apparently, for some reason, the 64 gigabytes don't work on them. I tried 5 different SD cards and finally found one that worked. Even though it embarrassed me, I bought it at Best Buy, explained my situation, they let me try it out in store. After I bought it, it seemed to be working. I bring it home, transfer my files from my 2 gigabyte SD card to my 32 gigabyte, and suddenly it wouldn't read on my 3DS. I'm kind of like, oh, fuck me. So I called Nintendo up, and when I called Nintendo up is when the SD card finally decided to work, and it was kind of embarrassing, but I've been embarrassed before far worse times. Only problem is, I had to re-download all my games, but the good news is, the 3DS Nintendo eShop saves the games you've downloaded. So if you have a small 2 gigabyte SD card and you delete a game off it and decide you want it back, you can re-download it on another higher gigabyte SD card. So I finally got New Super Mario Bros. 2 to work on it. I downloaded that game when it came out. I didn't bother with cards for it because I wanted it right away. And I deleted it because my 2 gigabyte memory card, well, it's only 2 gigabytes. I mean, come on, that's, when you're downloading games like I am, that's not a lot of space. So anyway, I finally have a 32 gigabyte memory card that works, and I've downloaded a whole shitload of games, re-downloaded the games that I lost, because apparently when I transferred the files over, it didn't work, but so what, it just means I have to play Metroid 2 again, and finally beat that game, which is going to take me a couple of, like, I don't know, well over 20 years to beat. But yeah, I expect some reviews of Nintendo eShop games for the 3DS. Most of them good, some of them bad, but sort of hope too. That game's a piece of shit. But anyways, final rating 7.5 for Publican Ale, Publican House Brewery House Ale. Give it a try. I know it comes in growlers, I know it comes in cans, I'm like 60% sure it comes in regular bottles, but yeah. Can, bottle, or growler, give it a try. It's an excellent session lager, and I plan on getting quite drunk with this ale. Have yourself a happy new year. Don't drink and drive. If you're not driving, get yourself completely wasted as you want. That's what I intend to do. That's why I have my 40 Creek whiskey. Have yourself a happy new year, and take care, everyone. Bye.